Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. If you're just joining us today, we are discussing what it means to play to win, and we're going to go over and distinguish exactly what that means. But first, we're going to start with from the bottom, which is not playing at all.
Yeah, there's 4 different quadrants, and the quadrant in the corner, which is not playing at all, no matter what part of team or whatever commitment is. And so we don't really want to talk about not playing, because I think people that aren't playing aren't listening. They're focused on other things. So we just kind of skip by that, because I want to get to the meatiness and the good stuff that people want to hear. And then the other quadrant is just playing. And so what it looks like to just play is you're just doing enough. You're just, maybe you had kids and it's kind of like maybe I didn't want them, or maybe it's not what I thought it was going to be for whatever reason. Maybe you had kids because you thought it was going to solve a problem, but it wasn't, because you were really committed to being a parent and you were excited about the journey, and then you just were unconscious, and it was just, or maybe it was an accident. You had kids on accident, and you're just doing the best you can. You're trying to get them to age 18 so they can live on their own and take responsibility for themselves.
Right, and my depiction, or what I see of a parent who's just playing is, and this isn't bad at all. I think if you're just playing, that's all you know, and that's all you're going to do. And I don't think that's right or wrong or anything.
There is no right or wrong. All we're doing is painting a perspective of where you could possibly be. And if you're there, you got to ask yourself, is it working for me? Is it not working for me? Do I like it? Do I not like it? And then make some choices.
Right. And to me, like I was saying, a parent who's just playing is the parent who feeds their kid, clothes them, sends them to school. And like you said, when they turn 18, okay, good luck. They don't, not that they don't want to. I just think they don't know that you need to supply your kids, or not you need, or you should, but it's very empowering to supply your kids with things that are going to help them after they turn 18, more than just doing your taxes or buying a house, but relationship-based things.
Yeah, and I think that parents that are just playing, they're not forward thinkers. They're not thinking about setting them up to win. They're not thinking about how are you going to survive out in the world, and and I really want the best for you. They're totally just unconscious. They're in reaction, and they're on automatic pilot, and they're in survival mode, and they're doing like you said, they're doing the best they can. They still love their kids and want the best for them, but I think they're just kind of like right here, right now, just focused on getting by, day to day, and they're probably challenged big time.
Right. So tell me what it means to play not to lose.
All right, so playing not to lose isn't exactly playing to win. It's just you're playing not to lose. You're operating a little bit more out of fear. It's fear-based parenting. And so what I did was I just wrote down some notes, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the notes that I wrote, and then anything that strikes you or you think that someone might want me to elaborate on, just point it out.
Okay.
But for me, playing not to lose is that you're a semi-conscious parent. You have moments where you are conscious, and then there's moments you're unconscious, and so you're kind of in that dance, and you haven't really fully woken up yet to that higher level of awareness. So you're a semi-conscious parent, and you're a little bit reactive. So things happen in life, and then you go into reaction to them. You don't realize it. It's almost like you're a fish, and you're swimming around, and as soon as a little pebble of cheese ball falls in front of you, you just bite it, because you're instinctual, you're in reaction. And it's not until you start to get tugged out of the water and there's a fisherman there grabbing you, and you're gasping for air, going, oh my God, what's going on? Now you're panicking. And that's what it looks like to be unconscious parent, is that you're just reactive. So your son or daughter does something, and you're not even fully present, aware in the moment, and consciously thinking about your decisions. You just react. It's your son does something, and it's like, I told you, or I can't believe you did that, and it's just automatic response. So you're reactive. You also have a mild sense of self-awareness. You're somewhat aware of the things that you do, things that you say, things you shouldn't be doing, all that kind of stuff. You notice that there's things that you need to work on, but you ignore them. Why are you laughing?
Because this is like my favorite. I'm very, once I figure something out about myself, or I realize, oh my God, all these years, this is how I've been playing, or this is how I've been showing up in the world. My first thing is, before I even think, what do? I'm like, I know this now, I can't ignore it. And then I'm like, what do I do? Because I think a lot of people, they do that. They ignore it, but I don't see how.
But before that awareness, you were ignoring it. We were all unconscious to some point. We were just ignoring things until it got to a point where either it bothered you or you couldn't ignore it anymore, or you started to have that awakening. So, playing not to lose would be semi-conscious parents that, notice that there's things that need to be worked on my end, but I would ignore it. Or I would pretend not to notice that there's things that need to be worked. That's another distinction, is sometimes we pretend not to notice that there's stuff that needs change. I guess it could be the same as ignoring it. You're just pretending that it's not there. Semi-conscious parents, they just operate from I'm going to do the best I can. And, sometimes, I guess what you might want to ask yourself is, when your parents had you, would you want your parents to be operating from, I'm just going to parent you from the best, I'm just going to do the best I can? Or would you love to know that your parents were committed out of their mind to being the best mom or dad that they can be, to have you win? That fires me up. When I think about my childhood, had I known that my mom and dad were really committed out of their mind to have me win and be the best parents they could, like if I grew up knowing they were going to parenting classes and, that would inspire me. I think at a certain point when I got maybe to 16 or 17, I'd be like, man, that's pretty cool. I got parents that really love me and they want me to win, rather than, parents that were just operating from, look, I'm just doing the best I can.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought this up, because we talked a little bit about that last week, about parents who do the best that they can. And someone during the week, this week, was asking me, they're like, oh, I listened to the show and I heard you guys talking about parents doing the best that they can, but how can a parent do more than the best that they can? Isn't that the best that they can? So they're doing the best they can. And I was like, did you listen? Or no, I'm just kidding. But I think that, I guess the answer to that, how can a parent do more than the best that they can, is to learn more and to grow and to work.
Yeah, but it's funny that, if you think about what they're saying, it's like they are doing the best they can with the capacity that they are operating from. The capacity means, the space that you operate out of. Like, let's take a fish tank, for example. If you have a 10-gallon fish tank, the capacity to hold a certain amount of water is only 10 pounds of water, right?
Right.
Now, in order to put a bunch of fish in a 10-pound or 10-gallon tank, you would need a bigger fish tank that can hold the capacity of more water. So you got to think us as human beings that have a certain capacity, a mental capacity, an emotional capacity, a spiritual capacity, an intellectual capacity. We're multiple dimensional beings, and your capacity can only hold what you're committed to. So if your capacity in all of those ranges are only you're only capable of holding information and context at a level 4, the best you can is only going to be level 4 results. But if you're committed to reinvent yourself and learn and discover and grow and push your walls to stretch your capacity to a level 8, you're going to create the level 8 results, that which you're committed to. So yeah, we can't just stop at this is the best I can, but you can also operate from I'm not going to do the best I can. I'm going to keep reinventing myself so I'm capable of creating my full capacity. I want to be the kind of parent where I reach my full potential. What is that? When can I hit it? Most of us never hit it. Most of us spend a lifetime trying to figure out what my full potential is. And it's not about getting there. It's about who you become in the journey. It's about becoming greater every version, every minute, every hour, every month, every year. You become a greater version of yourself.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I don't think I personally believe that there is a full potential. I really don't think that it ever ends. I think you can keep going forever and ever and ever.
I agree. Only because I've only been in my own journey for 20 years now. It's the top of the mountain is always eluding me. I never get, when I think I'm close to getting there and I look up, the mountain seems to keep pushing farther and farther. So I've come to the conclusion now that I will never get there, but I will never give up not trying to get there. I'm always going to keep chasing the top of that mountain, because that's where the journey is, because the growth that happens in that journey is so extraordinary that just becomes, it's just part of the game now.
Yeah. And I don't know if I even want to get to the top of the mountain. I think I wish the mountain would always keep growing, because it makes me feel a little bit better knowing, because sometimes it's easy to beat yourself up. Like, oh, I haven't reached this goal and I haven't gotten there yet. But once you do reach that goal, you're going to come up with a new goal. I mean, you can settle, but I think it's a little bit more exciting. It makes me feel better knowing that I'm never going to get there. Not in a, I'm never going to get there, so I might as well quit kind of way.
Right.
But I'm never going to get there, because there's going to always be more. I'm always going to want to get somewhere next.
And for me, I'm really excited. I'm like a little kid. I'm excited to invite people to embark on this journey of never getting there. And so people are going to go, what? You want me to follow you in a journey to go nowhere, to never get somewhere? And it's like, yeah, that's the juice, is deciding that you're going to work on yourself and you're going to make a lifelong commitment to continuing to grow and educate and develop and be the person that you dream of, the person that you when you were a kid, there was something inside of you that wanted to be extraordinary, to live extraordinary, to create these amazing family. And you want joy and passion and freedom. If that's what you're looking for, it's going to take for you to reinvent that from within yourself. Okay. So let's get back to playing not to lose. So operating from, I'm doing the best I can with justification, excuses, or stories. So there's a good possibility that you're just operating from, look, I'm doing the best I can because this. I'm doing the best I can because this happened or that happened, or my husband left me, or my wife's not supporting me, and you got all these stories and excuses to justify why you're only doing the best you can, rather than going, I don't care about the excuses, I don't care about the stories, I'm going to figure out how to keep reinventing myself so that I create some extraordinary results for myself. We're talking about more about your come from, right? Playing not to lose, semi-conscious parenting, complain and point things out that need to be changed from your child. He needs to do this. She needs to do that. Rather than deciding that you get to be the example to teach them, because based on results, they don't know how to be it. They don't know how to be it because teaching them and telling them and pointing it out to them isn't good enough. Maybe the one component that's missing is you being the example, you showing them what it looks like, you having the courage to dare to challenge yourself to go there first, to stumble, make mistakes, to be open and honest and communicate to that to them, and that you're that role model for them, so that they can not only hear it from you, but they actually see it in you. Right.
And I know for me, and I'm sure for everybody's kids, so if you're listening, and this is probably what your kids are thinking, but if you're sitting there and you're complaining, oh, my son doesn't show me any respect, it's probably because you don't show your son any respect either.
Or yourself. You're probably not respecting yourself.
Right.
And so there's a whole nother world of unlimited possibilities that you probably can't see. So once you have somebody point that out to you, have you ever thought that maybe you're disrespecting yourself, and your son sees that, and so he has no respect for you because you don't have respect for yourself. So there's a whole nother layers that you probably can't see. Then if you were taught that and you saw that and you got clarity on it, you could make those fundamental shifts and those changes.
Right. There's all kinds of different things that could be happening, and all you're looking at is, my son doesn't respect me.
That's right. You're stuck on that. You're fixated. You're immovable. You're positioned on that.
Right. And now everything that you do is to try to get your son to respect you, instead of looking at all the things that'll inspire him to respect you.
That's right. So playing not to lose, semi-conscious parenting that are reactive, operating from, I'm hoping that my kids grow out of their dysfunction, or I'm praying that it's only a phase that they're going through. Now, operating from that place is, it's your choice to operate from that place, but it's not the only choice that you can make. You can actually decide that you are going to be a part of their growth, that you're going to help guide them through their dysfunction. You're going to teach them how to overcome some of those negative behaviors and those self-limiting beliefs and all the things that they need to have breakthroughs in, rather than sitting back and hoping or praying that it's just a phase. I hope that, let me scratch that. When I look back at my parents, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe that my parents didn't operate from that. I hope that my son, works himself through whatever he's dealing with, that they would have said, you know what, I'm going to make a conscious effort to sit down with them and ask them open-ended questions and be a part of the process to help him figure out what it is that he's going through, so that he can move beyond it and have a learning lesson, have a breakthrough. That's what inspires me, is parents that don't operate from that hope or I wish, or I'm just going to ignore it, but that they, put some gloves on and they get in the trenches and they start digging.
Yeah, and I don't know if a dysfunction is a phase necessarily. So that right there is already, I guess it's misconstrued, because, dyeing your hair pink, that's a phase. Not loving yourself necessarily isn't a phase.
Right, but if dyeing your hair and, mutilating yourself to fit in is the symptom, and you're calling it a phase,
right?
But underneath that is low self-esteem and no self-love. The parent doesn't know how to look underneath and recognize what's at the source. They're only unconsciously looking and addressing
what they can see,
the symptom. Well, what's obvious to them, what's obvious is the physical transformation, and you're putting 10 earrings on your ear, and you got all this jewelry all on your face, and you're trying to do all these things to fit in, but there's something psychologically going on underneath there. There's this little child that's crying for something. There's an empty void inside that they're saying, Mom, Dad, I need this from you. And these are the kids that are in, some of these kids are in my trainings, and they're crying their hearts out saying, this is what I want from my mom, this is what I want from my dad. And the parents aren't conscious enough to even be open to even having a conversation or letting that land for them. So let's move on, because we're running out of time. I want to get down to playing to win. And obviously, a lot of playing to win, it's going to be some of the opposite of playing not to lose, right? So playing to win is going to be conscious parenting, and conscious parents that are proactive. They're taking the initiative. They're attacking whatever's coming up. They're ahead of the game. They have forward thinking. They're trying to be 10 steps ahead. They're solution oriented. They're focused on, let's figure out the answers. Let's keep moving forward. They have a higher sense of self-awareness. They do a lot of reflection on themselves. Well, what could I be doing? Who am I being that they're not doing this? Who do I need to be? What kind of changes do I need to make to be able to cause an effect, a shift in them? Playing to win is conscious parents that are learning and discovering a better way of parenting to be more effective. They're also committed to being better communicators. They really notice their words that they use. They're focused on using empowering words rather than disempowering words. They're learning how to rephrase their words and articulate themselves in a way that when they're speaking, they're landing these powerful seeds that sprout. Playing to win is you're asking open-ended questions to get your kids to have those breakthroughs rather than trying to tell them what they need to do. Also, playing to win has conscious parents that are seeking new perspectives that empower you. They're being the example. They're modeling the behaviors and the mindset that you want to see in your children. And last but not least, they're not leaving things to chance, that they're going to outgrow it. They're being committed to helping their kids evolve. That's their new commitment.
Right. That's very powerful. Please stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. If you're just joining us today, we talked about playing to win, playing not to lose, just playing and not playing at all. And if you missed any of it or you want to hear it again, you can always find our podcast online. We're going to go ahead and go over go over a quick recap so you can find out what you missed.
So today we talked about reinventing your parenting style and the constant evolution of your parenting style.
We talked about how to take an honest look at yourself in order to break through.
We talked about helping children overcome their dysfunctions.
We talked about how parents view their style of parenting versus how kids view it.
We broke down the distinction about what it means to playing not to lose from a parenting perspective.
We talked about learning others' love language for better communication and developing emotional intelligence to supplement academic intelligence and showing love through being rather than doing. So next week, we're going to be talking about the power of apologies, or I guess what I would like to call it is the art of apologizing.
Yeah, we always talk about something being an art form. And to me, it becomes an art form because it's something that you need to practice to get good at. And, you know, it's funny because if I think back in my memory, when I was a kid, and I have to ask myself, how did I learn how to apologize? Who taught me? Was there a class? Did I learn it at school? Did my mom sit down and show me how to apologize? Or is it just something you learn on your own? Is it when, you're a little kid and you do something mean to your sister and your mom or dad says, okay, now apologize. And then you just said, I'm sorry. So you learned I'm sorry is either a way to fix it or make it right or get past it. Like, what did you make up about the I'm sorry when your parents were telling you to apologize to somebody?
It always seemed in that situation, because that did happen to me, used to make me and my sister apologize and then hug each other for like 10 seconds, and we hated it. But it always seemed kind of just something that should come natural. Like, oh, I was taught this way, so I should just do it. So it's a little bit easy for me to apologize to, say, my friends or my siblings. But when it comes to my relationship, if I'm being honest, when it comes to my relationship with my mom and dad, it's a little bit harder to apologize. And I think I know for my relationship with my mom, when something goes wrong between us, instead of apologizing, we just get off of it and we move on and we pretend like nothing happened. And I see that now coming a little bit into my other relationships, and I don't like that. And I didn't realize really what we were doing until actually a couple weeks ago. So that's why I'm really excited that this is our next topic, because I feel like I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, and I think that as human beings, when it comes to apologizing, what could be getting in the way is maybe an interpersonal addiction to being right.
Right.
You know, in other shows I've talked about interpersonal addictions, and that could be one of them. Is if you're always operating from your perspective is right and you don't like to be wrong, you're going to be really challenged when it comes to apologizing. And I really want to break down this distinction because I want to highlight how really important it is to apologize, how healing it is, how symbolic it is for other people to recognize that it can be over and we can get past this. Now that this symbol has shown up, being created from you as the source, I can now get off of it. I can let it go. I don't have to carry it on my back and have it be a resentment that gets in the way of our relationship. I think it could be a very healing moment, and I don't think that we as conscious human beings realize how powerful that is. It just takes a little courage. It takes a willingness to, be great, be compassionate towards yourself that you make mistakes, have some humbleness to say, hey, I'm sorry you felt like that. And I'm going to break down a little bit of how to apologize in a powerful way, so you can really see that if you were taught how to apologize in a powerful way, it's not that scary, and you can actually do it. And it just takes a little bit of practice, and like we said earlier, it becomes an art form. You get really good at it, but you have to keep practicing it.
Yeah, and like I said, when we were younger and your parents taught you how to apologize, and they said, say sorry, go give them a hug or whatever your thing was in your family. I didn't.
If families even did that,
right.
Some never did that.
Right. So if you were taught that that's how you apologize, I think now I want to know why. Why am I apologizing? Because sometimes people, I think, apologize because they feel bad for that person. They're like, oh, let me fix this relationship. Let me just apologize. Versus, you know what? I may have said something I shouldn't have said, and accepting that maybe you were wrong in that moment. And like you said, being compassionate towards yourself, so you're not beating yourself up and wanting to be right.
Here's some of the aha moments that I've had with parents that have kids that have, that are really highly intelligent, and they've maybe they're used to getting what they want. They're a little bit entitled. There's a certain style of kids that when the parents come to me and they have this aha moment where they realize that my kid only apologizes to get what he wants.
Right.
And what they've learned is, if I apologize, I can smooth it out so that I can continue to figure out how to get what I want from my parents. My apologies work to get them off of being mad at me so that I can start figuring out how to get what I need. And that's not what you really want your kids to operate from. You want them to really learn some values and some morals underneath that. And we'll talk about that next week. We'll really break down that distinction and dive in. I'm excited.
Sounds great. I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us today on My Conscious Dad with me, Jasmine Urbina, and my dad, Alex Urbina. We're here every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.